of the rising sun. It has been the ruin of many a poor boy, but we are in Unscripted. I am your Eric Burden-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the not overly ostentatious digs of the beautiful WKXL studios in Concord. And you can get out the radios today. Fire up the transistor radios. You can find us at 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Those are Concord-based, 101.9 FM in Manchester. And yeah, we have a URL because we're in the 21st century. Yeah, close enough. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Ooh, hang on a second. I need to thank my sponsor, Lakes Region Fence. They're in Guilford. If you are in the need for a new fence, come on, it's almost springtime. It's almost springtime. Look out the window. Don't you see that dilapidated thing hanging out there? That you used to call that a fence. Remember those days? LRFence.com is where you can go out and get a free estimate. Click on the button. Matt and his crew will come out and talk to you about what to do. LRFence.com. You can also see a lot of great photos out there at that website. Grab yourself a bucket of KFC. Head on out and spend a few hours touring the site. LakesRegionFence.com. LRFence.com is what I mean. Lakes Region Fence in Guilford. Thank you, Matt, for sponsoring the show. We love you guys. Well, you know, it's springtime. Birds are chirping, bunnies are hopping around, and all of the big moguls from all of the important theaters around the state are out trying to find their summertime interns and help. In studio with me today to talk a little bit about that from the North Country Center for the Arts is Joel Mercier. Good morning, my friend.
Hello, how are you?
I am well. Hang on, because we have people who need a Leo update. How is Leo doing?
Leo is great. Leo is my cat. My orange tabby cat who had a really rough 2023.
He was down to 8.5 lives. He was like...
Yes, he had autoimmune anemia.
Yeah.
And he has survived. He has made it. So as far as we know, all is good in the world, and then we're just taking it one day at a time.
One day at a time. I love it. I love it. What's happening up there at the North Country Center for the Arts?
So, a lot. Well, at least in terms of preparation. I mean, this is our downtime, which seems like, oh, how relaxing. But it's actually less relaxing during the downtime than it is during the on.
Well, you guys go dark, right, in the winter for the most part?
Sort of, yes, we do. That has been our tradition. Since, North Country Center for the Arts at Jean's Playhouse was initially part... originally, when it was, it was founded back in 1986, I believe, and it became part of the Paper Mill Theater, because that was our venue, which was a paper mill factory. And so, unfortunately, when that closed down, they had to build Jean's Playhouse because they needed a venue. And so we are now located in Jean's Playhouse, which is in Lincoln, New Hampshire. But North Country Center for the Arts has always been our main name and our business organizational name. It just gets a little confusing because some people know us as Paper Mill, some people know us as Jean's Playhouse.
Correct.
And some people know us as NCCA.
It's terrible for us old folks.
I know, it's crazy. So we're trying to, we've been working very hard to clarify that and make sure everybody knows that it's all the same. It's all the same good theater. But yes, we started going dark in the winter, which a lot of people think we're crazy because the winter is such a major ski time up in Lincoln, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So the population, the vacationers and stuff are through the roof. But keep in mind, they're there to ski. Right. They're not there for entertainment necessarily. So we found that it was actually easier and more cost effective if we closed down during that time and used that time to focus on building our Memorial Day weekend through the end of the calendar year season. So that's what we did. So we usually open on Memorial Day weekend with a comedy show or a band, and then we go straight from there into our summer season, which goes usually from 4th of July weekend through Labor Day weekend. And then we hit the hit September in the fall, which is what we call more of our presenting season. We have comedians, we have bands, we have films, things like that. But we also do produce 2 major projects. One is Ghostlight, which is an interactive theater haunted attraction.
Yeah.
And that's actually taking place for 3 weeks this year, from Columbus Day weekend through the end of October. And then in December, we just started a brand new musical adaptation of A Christmas Carol, which was a huge success. So it's a pretty busy time, but to be honest, these months now, January, February, March, April, that's our time to plan it all and to get everybody hired so it's a lot crazier than people think, because we're constantly on the road. We're constantly at our desk emailing, negotiating, figuring things out, making offers. We've got some people say yes, some people say no. We have to figure out other it's just part of the game, right? So it's a tricky time.
We'll get into that in a second, but tell me about what are you doing to make North Country Center for the Arts more prominent? The name more prominent. What's going on there?
Yeah. So I think when Gene's Playhouse was opened in 2012, and that's when we kind of had to let go of the Paper Mill Theater name because there was not even a building anymore for that.
Yeah.
So now I took over in 2017, and it's been sort of a journey of just trying to get people to sort of know of our history. It was a tricky time. I would say in that 2012 through 2017-18 period, we were sort of trying to rebrand ourselves, but there were different opinions on how to do that, different thoughts. Do we hang on to our history? Do we let it go? Do we try to get people more associated with Gene's Playhouse? Do we try to let go of the paper mill? Inevitably, I think we've all come to the conclusion that our history is fabulous. We have a fantastic history as the Paper Mill Theater. Why would we want to let that go? So when we look at the Paper Mill Theater work we've done and we look at the Gene's Playhouse work we've done, really it's all under the umbrella of North Country Center for the Arts. And so that's what kind of established the fact that we really need to get back to the roots of what we have done since the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's why, like a lot of our, we've been slowly working towards just making sure that the North Country Center for the Arts brand is on top. Our beautiful building, as you know, you've not only been an audience member there, but you've been a performer there.
Yeah.
I love that theater too. It's fabulous. It's great. It's only 260, so it's intimate. But the stage is big enough that it still feels like a prominent theater.
Yep.
It's a great building. They did a fabulous job building it, and that will always be Gene's Playhouse. That is the name of that building. It's named after Gene Halliger, and Bill and Gene Halliger were just major spearheaders of both of the North Country Center for the Arts, both when we were at Paper Mill and Gene's. So we love our building, but again, the business needs to sort of have an overall view of all the things we've done, not just at Gene's Playhouse.
Yeah. So a lot of these decisions you're not making yourself. There's a board, right?
We do, yeah. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we do have a board of trustees. We also have a marketing committee and a marketing firm. We also have, so I sort of, as the executive artistic director, I sort of come up with a lot of the ideas or the concepts, and then I have so many great board members and committee members and staff members to bounce everything off of and let them.
You ever get much pushback from them?
Only when I deserve it.
I see.
No, my board is fabulous, and my committees are fabulous, and our support system is fabulous. My staff is amazing. I feel like I have a million ideas a minute. So I sometimes need people to say, Joel, that's not always the greatest idea, or maybe we need to put
Victoria,
that off.
Would that not
that
be?
Would be Victoria, yeah. But also the board. I'll give you a great example. When I first got here, about 2 years in to my tenure here, I said to the board, we have a program called the Impact Program. And the Impact Children's, it's basically a TYA, which is theater for young audiences.
Gotcha.
And essentially they go to different theaters all over the state and perform a different fairy tale every week during the summer. So there's a 6-week period where they go to 8 venues, the same 8 venues every week, and perform every single week a different fairy tale.
Oh my God.
And so they're only a 5-member bus and truck type tour. It's very small. It's very, it's really...
Oh, to be young.
It's great. In fact, they perform right here in Concord at the Capitol Center every year. They've been
do?
doing that for years. Yeah. Tuesdays at 10 a.m. So,
no idea.
yeah, they've been doing it for years.
From Lincoln all the way down here?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We go to Claremont, too. And then we go up to, we have gone to Lancaster, to Gorham. We've gone all the way to Laconia.
I just assumed they were just in the local area. All the schools.
No, we go all over the state. Yeah, because it's in the summer. So
what a gift to the state, though.
It's a fabulous program. However,
yes,
back in 2017-18, it was hemorrhaging money. It wasn't doing very well. And I said to the board, look, we've got to reshape everything. We've got to look at everything we do. And we have to sort of see whether or not this is a good idea. And my recommendation right now is that we get rid of Impact. I think we have to just get rid of it. It's hemorrhaging money. It's a pain to cast. It's a pain to, it's original musical fairy tales. So it's tricky even just getting the pieces. The board very respectfully said no. And the reason for that is because they really wanted to keep it because it was the first program they ever had.
Oh.
So you know what we did? We made it better.
All right, hang on to that. Put a pin in it. Ooh, I love the smell of theater in the morning. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your happy to be out of bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the laughing light conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. And for you blessed souls in Manchester, 101.9 FM down there. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. Joel Mercier from the North Center Country for the Arts is in the house. We got a lot of chatting to do. We'll be right back. And that is why the lady is a tramp. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. I am your host with the PJs on, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the water country-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I'm going to head over to the water slide later. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord. 101.9 FM in Manchester for you beautiful souls down there. NH Talk Radio is our URL. I'll give you a little more info about that later and what you can find out there. In the house with me today, the artistic director for the North Center Country for the Arts, Joel Mercier. He's down here. They are up in Lincoln. He's not, but the theater itself is up in Lincoln. Joel, I wanted to ask you, what is your relationship with the Riverwalk Hotel there?
So the Riverwalk Resort is right next to us, and they are a lovely resort. And we've had a long, wonderful relationship with them. There are good neighbors, first and foremost.
The building is huge.
They're huge. Well, they just went through phase 2.
It's unbelievable.
Right. They just expanded.
It's massive.
And it's been 2 to 3 years of building.
It's like seeing the Titanic on shore.
Now, they've had phase 1 was done a while ago, right? So they've had phase 1 for a while. And they're fabulous. They help us out with plowing in the winter and landscaping in the summer. And anytime we have any major technical issues in the building, they're happy to help us out, which is, and it's just, they've been amazing. And the owner is one of our board members, so that helps too. And so they have just expanded and grown into their phase 2, which they're hoping to attract more corporate events and more weddings and things like that on top of just having more rooms.
So they have function rooms in there for that as well? I had no idea.
They have like a 400-person ballroom.
What?
Isn't that amazing?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we're thrilled. Anytime anybody in the sit town brings in more people,
sure,
it's great for us, and especially when they look out their windows and are looking straight at our theater, which is basically what's happening.
Not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing at all. We're thrilled.
Tell me about the demographics. Who is coming? You're an hour from Concord. Who is coming to your theater? Where are they coming from?
So that's the $1 million question. I would say we are one of the most bizarre demographics in the state of New Hampshire. And I've worked at a lot of the theaters in New Hampshire, and I've worked at a lot of theaters outside of New Hampshire, and I've never quite seen anything like this.
In that?
We cater to multiple demographics. We cater to a local community who are primarily service industry folks, right? Because we are a vacation resort area.
Right.
So we have lots of hotels, lots of restaurants, lots of bars, lots of attractions. So we have our local community who do that, which means they're never available really to see our shows because they're constantly working the weekends and then we have our vacationers, which of course are only there for a couple days, maybe a week tops.
Right.
And they're not really, there's no dedication there, not in a bad way. It's just that they're just going to come see the show if they want to see that show.
Yeah.
Then you have second homeowners, which are in their own right a whole different bag of beans because some of those second homeowners are there all the time and they do become subscribers and donors and things like that. But a lot of them are only there, honestly, like just a couple weekends a year. And so those people, again, are sort of in the vacationer world of like, we're only going to sell them a ticket if they want to see that particular show. It's tricky. Then you're talking about more of the local demographic around us, right? Like think about like the Plymouth area below us or the Littleton, Franconia area above us. But now we're getting into the mode of slight competition, not anything bad, but just when you get into the Plymouth and below that, they also have the option of going down to the Winnipesaukee Playhouse. And when you get into Littleton and Franconia, they have the option of going up to the Weathervane Theater. So we're a very strange area and we're right before the Notch, which also makes things weird because similar to like Manchester and Concord, you know how nobody wants to go through the toll?
Yeah.
It feels like it's so far away even though it's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
The Notch is the same thing. Nobody wants to go over the Notch. It's very strange, even though it's not a big deal.
So having said that and knowing the thought process here about trying to figure out who you're going to cater your season to, let's talk about how in the world then do you select plays and what is coming up this year. There is no magic formula. I can't imagine.
There isn't.
You
have to, yes, commercial works tend to work better than more artsy things because they tend to cater to a larger demographic across all three demographics. But that's true with every theater, right? That's true everywhere.
They're all trying to figure it out.
Well, and especially since COVID, people are less likely to, in the economy, and there's a million reasons. So we sort of just have to do everything. And there's a whole demographic that comes to our bands and concerts but has never seen a musical or a play because that's not what they're into, and it's totally fine.
I hadn't thought about that.
And we love having them come to see comedians and bands and things like that. Then we have our musical theater season, which we do select to be pretty commercial because we know we're trying to cater to that. But then Ghostlight is a whole other thing, right? Yeah. Ghostlight is much more almost like a commercial attraction more than a piece of theater or a venue item, So, and we started doing that specifically so we could join the ranks of other area attractions like Storyland and Clark's and you know what I mean? Like we wanted Ghostlight to feel like that October, presence similar to those, which I think, it's only been 2 years and this is going to be our third year, but we've been pretty successul in our 2 years doing that.
Feedback's been good for that.
Feedback's been great. Year one, as you know, because you got to be involved, which is fabulous. Year one was such an undertaking and we were so proud of ourselves, but it's funny when you do something like that, you immediately are like, now I see what I need to do to improve upon it, right?
Yeah.
It was still great, but it took a second. Then year two, we were able to implement, okay, now we get it. And year three, we've got even bigger, better plans. So very exciting, yeah.
Ooh. So do you want to get into your current season coming up?
Sure, absolutely. So this summer, our big theater season, we typically do, I jokingly always say 3.5 shows because we start out with a concert. We usually do a large-scale musical outdoors and in concert, which we started because of COVID back in 2021.
Brilliant.
And people just loved it. It was just so great that people wanted us to keep doing it. So we did. So this year we're doing The Secret Garden, outdoor and in concert. Then we move into our theater where we are doing Cats, the musical, Little Shop of Horrors, and here's the one that people tend to be like, what? Stephen King's Misery.
Dang, man.
Which is a play. It was actually in Broadway in 2015, but it only recently became available for regional theaters. I don't want to speak out of turn here, so I could be wrong, but I think we're the New Hampshire premiere.
Okay.
My development director has been doing research to try to make sure.
Breaking news. You heard it here.
I think we are the New Hampshire premiere of Stephen King's Misery.
Let's backtrack there a little. Did you say cats?
Cats, yes.
All right, help me out here.
Ray, we've already talked about my cat. You know how obsessed I am.
The movie didn't do that well.
No, but the Broadway musical is one of the longest running in history.
Yes.
Don't blame the musical for that atrocity that was the movie.
It's the thing that's most predominant in people's minds. Okay, so
I don't think so. I disagree, and I'll tell you why. I mean, yes,
Please do.
We all laugh when we think of the movie.
We do.
Trust me, we do. But it had such a long history as a Broadway musical. I mean, literally, I think it's top 5 longest running.
Top 5?
Top 5 longest running Broadway shows. It was the top 1 until I think 2 other. I can't remember which shows. I know Phantom of the Opera beat it. But I mean, it might even be top 3 still. It ran that long, and because I think there's something. First of all, it's a phenomenal dance show.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be able to see the dancing and with the costumes and that. It's a spectacle. There's no question. It's all about spectacle, but it is a great spectacle to see. I also think, I think a lot of my generation, when you do think of, I mean, I'm a theater person, so I know all the weird little shows that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
But I do think when you think of like the layman or the vacationers who are not necessarily theater people, but like to see a show now and then. And you think of the top 3 shows that they think of when they think of New York and Broadway. I really think they think Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, Cats. And that's kind of what led us down that road. And to my knowledge, Cats has never even been done up in that area.
I don't know has it ever been done in New Hampshire?
It's been done a couple times. Yeah, it became available about a decade ago. And I know New London did it at one. I mean, we're talking well over a decade ago. And I think Interlakes has done it down below us a little, a couple years ago. But in terms of our area, Weather Vane, that whole area. I don't think anybody's done it, and certainly not recently.
Yeah.
So we're excited to bring it, and we've certainly never done it. We never did it in the Paper Mill years, and we've never done it in the Jean's Playhouse years.
So what's the biggest obstacle to put that show on? Is it the costumes?
Yeah, costumes and makeup.
Yeah.
Makeup almost more than costumes.
Really?
Yeah, because you can rent the costumes, you can't rent the makeup. So we sort of have to work at how to create all those plots and let the actors work with a specialist on how to do it.
Man, time flies. All right, we're putting on our tap shoes. Joel and I have to tap out of here for a minute. Time for some Spam and Sanka, baby. You are listening to NH Unscripted. We are coming to you from the water country like digs, of the WKXL studios. I'm heading for the water slide here shortly. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. You happy souls in Manchester, 101.9 FM. And our URL is nhtalkradio.com. I have some big questions for Joel Mercier, Artistic Director from the North Center Country for the Arts. We'll get to it when we get back. Give me the Sanka. Aubrey was her name. Yeah, not so very ordinary girl, her name. That is from Bread. Yeah, they sing that. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your host with the pajamas with the feet in them, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. You can almost smell the chlorine from the pool from here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM in Manchester. And if you use the URL nhtalkradio.com, you can go out there, listen to this show live, listen to almost all of our shows live, as well as finding all of the archives of this show, plus the other great stuff that goes on here that you might not know about. nhtalkradio.com. Don't go there yet. We're deep in the weeds. Joel Mercier, Artistic Director from the North Country Center for the Arts, is in the house. Sir, talk to me about how you cast your shows, because it's springtime, and that means a lot of artistic directors around the state are vying for competition for those.
Not just the state.
Yeah.
Country.
So how does that all even take place?
So we're a professional theater, which means we are hiring actors. from all over, and not just actors. It's also technicians and musicians and production staff, and I mean, all of these people come from all over the country. And it's not just because, I mean, yes, on one hand, it's also because we want to get the best of the best.
Yes,
but it's also tricky because, you know, a lot of, I mean, we are not able to get a lot of local people to help us out because they have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You know what I mean? We're a summer theater. We're putting shows up in essentially 2 weeks. We work 8 hours or more a day, 6 days a week. If you have a full-time day job, it's not the same as community theater.
Right.
You're not going to be able to make it work.
Yeah.
So we end up doing, so there's tons of things that we do for auditions. Because we're a summer theater, we tend to look at a lot of college age and slightly out of college students. That's kind of our age demographic that we tend to cast, and then we pull in guest artists for the older roles. And sometimes we're lucky enough to find, you know, an old local person who just happens to be really talented.
Why is he staring at me?
Such as yourself, to come in and play a role, kind. You know? So, but, you know, again, it's not just actors, it's musicians, it's carpenters, it's stitchers for the costumes, it's lighting and sound, it's everything. I think the actors are the most in-depth, though, in terms of how we go about, you know, finding them. There are things called cattle call auditions. Those are pretty standard.
Right.
Cattle call auditions are almost like, you know, these giant conventions, if you will, that are held in different places. There's usually one in New York. There's one in Boston. There's one in the Midwest. There's one in the South. I mean, they're everywhere. And basically, they put together this event so that, say, 30 or 40 or 50 theaters are there, but then there's thousands of actors. And it usually takes place over a couple of days.
I can't imagine.
And you're really just sitting in this room watching them. And it's an assembly line. I mean, they're usually given between 90 seconds and 2 minutes, and they're being timed.
Are you kidding me?
And they're told to stop.
90 seconds? What?
They're told to stop when they hit their time because they're on such a tight schedule because they want everybody to be seen. And that's it. You get 90 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on what the time, to make an impression on the theater.
Wow.
And then from there, we call you back. And that's when we can actually get to know you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we see like 800, 900 per convention over the course of 2 days, 3 days. So, as you can imagine, we're not calling that number of people back.
Right.
We might be calling like 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it's tricky. You know there are good people that are getting by us.
Yeah.
Because you have to make a quick judgment call in only 2 minutes.
Yeah. Can't figure.
Right.
That's beyond me.
And, you know, some of it's typing. Some of it's looking at, are you the right, you know, height, or are you the right look for a certain character that we need in our season? And some of it's that. Some of it is just, but it's also the opposite. I've had people who I'm like, I have no idea where this person would fit in our season, but I love them. So I'm calling them back to get to know them and see if I can think about it and see if I can figure something out. It's an interesting process. So those are the cattle calls. We used to go to multiple. Some of them are not back yet, and some of them have gone kaput since COVID.
Oh, do you mean they left the scene? They're not even acting anymore.
Yeah,
not doing anything.
NETC's New England Theater Conference stopped. They ended.
Oh.
Yeah, they're over. So we can't go to that.
Nothing has filled that gap.
Nope.
Oh my God.
Nope. And then the big one in New York, Straw Hats, is still going virtual.
Oh, I hate virtual.
It's very difficult. And so that brings up another big thing.
Yeah.
Is since COVID, virtual, even though it's not as necessary anymore, it has still become a new norm. So I can't tell you how many, like, prior to COVID, I used to get maybe a couple hundred submissions each year, you know, with, you know, emails saying, I would love to be in your season. Here's my resume. Here's a video. Now I'm getting thousands.
You have to go through thousands of self-tapes that...
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And then if you do like them or they do fit your bill, you then have to Zoom with them.
Oh, my God.
So you can get to know them. You know, because we want to make sure not only are they talented, we want to make sure that they are the right personality fit for our theater.
Yeah.
Summer stock is a lot. It's exhausting. It's tough work.
Because you house all those people, too.
They're all housed together.
Oh,
they're all,
God.
you know, and you know, you just need to make sure that they're the kind of person that can handle that. Woo. But then also, videos, how many times can you do a video before you send in the video, So we need to kind of see what the natural talent is versus what's the polished finished. I mean, there's a lot of things to check out. And then we do go to a lot of school auditions. We hold some of our own auditions here and there. So it literally goes from, I would say, January we start putting out the job submissions or the job postings for the tech staff. And then and those are just interviews that we do over the phone and things like that. But that continues from January on. Then in February, we start visiting schools. Usually the cattle calls are in March. Meanwhile, all the email submissions are coming in. This process takes from January easily till April or May, sometimes even June.
So you're almost happy to go dark in the winter because you need some time to get all this done.
It's pretty crucial, I have no idea. I spend so much time staring at computer screens and Zoom chatting with people and phone interviews. That is a big part of my winter.
So how do you, let's talk about navigating this, because you and I both know that you can be really good in an audition live, and that's all you can really do.
Right.
You can audition. You could do a crappy audition, kind of like, you're nervous when you go to a doctor's office or whatever, you get that white coat syndrome, but you could be a great actor or actress.
Right.
How do you weed through that?
You get to know them. That's the best thing I can say.
Yeah.
Obviously we want really top-notch, talented people to work for us.
Yeah, of course.
We also want good people to work for us, like good humans.
Yeah,
People who are there to make the art. They're excited. They're proud. They are not. They keep the drama on the stage. I'm sure I speak for many theaters who are looking for all of that. The best thing you can do, and you're never going to get it 100% right. I mean, I've certainly cast people. Certainly not mention any names, but I've certainly cast people who I thought were great, and maybe down the line, once we started working, I've realized they're not as strong. Or I've also cast people in smaller roles or even ensemble, and then I'm like, my God, this person is brilliant. Why didn't I give them better roles?
Yeah.
But that's also fun because then maybe they'll come back next year and play bigger parts, and that's happened to us several
I was going to ask you about the repeat. How many of them either love to come back or, they're whatever the...
I would say in summer stock theater, it's not super common to have a lot of people be repeat because summer stock kind of lends itself to like an experience. It's kind of like, in some ways, it's almost like camp, right?
Yeah,
You come and you do camp, and then you're like, okay, I've done it. It was awesome. I loved it. I'm good, though. I'm ready to move on. So I would say that happens a lot. But we have a surprisingly large number of people who do return. And it's a lot of times... It's like people who came in as an acting intern or as an impact actor, as we were talking earlier about the Impact touring children's theater. But then the following year, they'll come back as a lead in
So you use that as a funnel in a way?
Sometimes. It just depends, I mean, there are some actors who are just perfect for that. For impact, because that's a different type of acting, right? You're performing for children, little children.
Good point.
And you have to have a certain set of skills. And I always say that most of my impact actors could easily do main stage, but not all my main stage actors could do impact. It's a different animal. But yes, sometimes we do use that or the internship as a funneling tool to bring them back for leads in future years. We just, but also we're cool if they say, I can't do it. I need a higher paying job, or I'm looking at other theaters so I can gain different context. No hard feelings. We always understand. It's a tricky game. We're all trying to do what's best for us, right? They need to do what's best for them. We're trying to do what's best for the theater. I just always urge all my actors who I've worked with, and tech staff, and musicians, keep an open communication. Let me know. If you want a job, let me know. If you don't, and you're on to the next thing, we get it.
Man, oh man, the time goes by so fast. I'm telling you. Whew, you are listening to NH Unscripted. I am happy to be out of the home host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like digs of the Concord Studios, WKXL, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Concord, both of those, 101.9 FM in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL. Joel Mercier from the North Country Center for the Arts is regaling us on what happens up there. We are going to come back in just a moment. We got one more segment. I can't believe it. We'll be back. baby. We have a hot one today. We found out about Leo. That was in my bucket list for the day. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I am your always happy to be out of the bed host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the monk-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, and in Manchester, 101.9 FM. NHTalkRadio.com is the URL where you can find this show and all of the other great happenings here, the Love Fest. Joel Mercier from the North Country Center for the Arts is in the studio. And we're talking about how he finds the talent, how he chooses plays, what's going on up there. Joel, what is the attraction for these kids? You go to New York and you're talking to these young kids and you're like, you can come all the way to New Hampshire. What is the draw for them? Why would they be here?
You'd be shocked.
I am.
You'd be shocked
this
at
is my
how
shocked
many
face.
Love coming up to the North Country. It feels like they're on vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And let me tell you, as somebody who lived in New York for many years, you don't want to be in New York
Glad
during the
to be
summer.
out of the city.
Well, you don't want to be in New York during the summer.
Town,
it's hot. There's not a lot of work. It's not a great place to be during the summer. So a lot of times we can get people who are coming to the, who want that vacation, but also are looking to build their resumes. Again, because and not everybody's a young person. Again, I think our average demographic is between, say, 20 and 28, which is young.
Yeah. But
then we also get people who are in their 30s, and then we bring in some guest actors who are in their 40s, and a lot of our directors are older and, things like that. So it's kind of a cool, it's a combination of people who are all learning from each other, and that's, I think, what's kind of nice. So I think a lot of them feel like, again, it's kind of a summer camp environment for the 20-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
They get to come and have a good, fun summer, but they also get to do really good work with really good people. And they make connections, they make ties. I mean, some of these people have just graduated and have no friends in New York yet, and now suddenly they have a whole pool of people in New York that they know.
Yeah.
Also, like, crazy things have happened. Like, we've had several actors. Well, if you look at our history, we've had probably dozens. But even just in my time at NCCA, which, was also interrupted by a pandemic, we've had several actors go on to Broadway and national tours.
I was going to ask you about that.
Absolutely. So, I mean, people do that all the time. And we've also had several couples get married. People who met each other at our theater and became, started dating and then got married. So I think there's a lot of, I'm not saying that's the reason to come to NCCA. I'm just saying,
oh, really?
Things happen,
Glad you cleaned that up.
No, but it's nice. You get to meet so many people who are doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you get to, and it's not just the actors. It's the actors, tech staff, musicians, like they're all, production staff. Most of them are all living in the same housing. They're getting to know each other on their off time. They're getting to explore the area in their day off. It's a beautiful, Lincoln is gorgeous. I mean, it's a great, swimming, hiking, lots of great resort amenities, things like that. It is a fun summer, and it attracts a lot of people who are looking to build their resume or portfolio, and also people who just want to get out of the city or want a vacation.
Yeah. Have you ever had any of them at the end of the year, you do like a final follow-up with them, have you ever had any of them say, this is so much better than what I thought, or I had no idea what going to New Hampshire meant, but
I think yes,
because it's New Hampshire. I mean, it's not like known for
right. I mean, I think a lot of them leave really truly feeling like this was such a special.
It catches them. I can imagine it catches them.
They're never going to have again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to do plenty of great jobs. They're going to do probably way better jobs. At bigger theaters with much bigger salaries, and maybe Broadway, maybe opera. But this was a very special experience,
and they got to work with you and me. I mean, what tops that? I can see that right on the top of their resume.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I met Joel and Ray.
The thing I go in with, I try to go in with the right attitude. I mean, I've worked. Personally, before I kind of settled here and started running this theater, I mean, I worked all over the country. I was a conductor, I was a director, I was an actor, equity actor at one point. I mean, I've worked everywhere. I've worked at some of the biggest theaters in the country, and I've also worked at some of the smallest. And I bring all of that into this because my attitude is, we're just here to make great art.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it. I understand. I know what you're aspiring to be, and I know the kind of places you're aspiring to work at, because I did too, and I got to work at those places. But these are the stones. These are the stepping stones to get there. And we want to help you along your journey. We're not. So we know where we fit in your life. You know, and I think that's important, because I think some of the hard parts about running a summer stock is you can kind of get into a little cloud where you're only thinking about your theater and not the overall industry and how it's growing and the world and all the different theaters. And I'm really big on trying to stay up to date with what's changing in the industry, what's going on here, what's going on there, what's happening, you know, because I like to bring that into our theater.
I wanted to bring up a little bit. So first of all, before we get too deep, and we're almost done, the URL.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. We're www.genesplayhouse.com.
Okay. And they can get tickets. And
In fact, I don't know when this is airing, but today.
Yep. Okay.
So we'll just say today. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
Today, summer tickets went on sale.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep.
So I want to talk to you a little bit more about Ghostlight and Christmas Carol.
Yes, absolutely.
So because we all know about the summer.
Yep.
Well, we kind of do. But
sure.
So Ghostlight for you, what made you decide you needed to do something or wanted to do something in that pocket?
Totally. So we were looking for things that were not, you know, we sort of had our summer season. Then we had the rest of the year. We were like, what do we do in the rest of the year? I mean, we can do comedians, we can do cover bands, we can do all these great things. But what else can we do that also gives us some artistic value, but also makes money? I mean, we're trying to, we're you know, yes, we're a nonprofit, but we still have to pay a lot of overhead expenses. And God knows life is not getting any cheaper.
Yeah.
So we were looking into Halloween, and we're like, what can we do? Could we do, I remember at one point we were talking about, because we do hire in acts too. So I remember we saw an act for a like a person who just comes and does his own show where he tells ghost stories.
Yeah.
We were like, that's cool. What if we did our own? What if we directed and wrote our own, where it's ghost stories of the North Country? And that was, you know, we were like, that'd be kind of cool. But then we were like, well, if that's a show, it's going to hit a ceiling at some point. Like, that's not going to attract too many. I mean, it'll be cute, but I don't know how you can do that every year. And so then we were thinking about how could we make it more interactive, and then we finally just went, wait, I think what we're describing is kind of like a haunted house. So why are we trying to reinvent the wheel here? That said, I do think we did sort of reinvent the wheel, because Ghostlight is not just a standard haunted house. Yeah. It's a combination of a haunted house and immersive theater, and there is a full story that goes through the entire thing.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what makes it such a special event. And we're really starting to gain traction with that. So that was the idea, is what can we do that will just grow and grow and grow as an annual tradition.
And you almost doubled it last year, right? I mean, the size crazy. Of the production itself.
Yeah. We increased. Every year we try to increase how long it is, the number of actors, the story, it's called Ghostlight, and we'll always have a basic theme that's consistent.
Yeah.
But we can build within that all sorts of cool things every year. So we try to make it a different enough every year that you'd want to go every year. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't just be like, well, I've already seen that, so I'm not interested this year.
Right.
No, it's always going to be different enough to make it still interesting and fun.
Yeah.
And then that's the same thing with Christmas carols. We knew we needed to do something in December that would become an annual tradition. And weirdly enough, there is no Christmas carol up in our area. So in the Lincoln area, or
the North Country
or
area
the North Country itself. So we were like, let's do it. And as you know, it's a musical adaptation that I wrote years ago, and we readapted it for a professional cast size, and a small but beautiful live band.
Yeah.
And we built our own, our brand new set, and we reconceived the production, and it was a fabulous show. I mean, we only did it one weekend. Certainly our long-term goal is for it to take over the entire month.
Yeah.
But last year was our first tester, so we just did one weekend, but we also did a school show.
Right.
We did a student matinee.
It was packed.
We've never done a student matinee, ever. At least not when I've been here. And so we made 4 calls. That's it. We literally made 4 calls to 4 schools. All 4 schools said yes, and that filled up the entire...
It was packed.
It was packed. So next year we know we have to do more school shows. But that's so great, because then we're not only doing... It's not just about doing good work, it's about the accessibility of it.
Yeah.
And letting all these schools that don't really have a lot of options for theater and don't necessarily see a lot of theater, maybe because of financial reasons or whatever, they're getting to come see this fabulous show.
Yeah.
professional production every December at our theater, and we for super discounted rates. I mean, we just want them to come.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah. So you had to adapt last year's production. You cut down on the size of the cast.
Yeah. Well, we had done the show a couple other times in more of a community setting, and it used to have about I've done it with a cast of 25 to 30, and we've done it with a cast size of well over...
more than that.
Yeah, more than that. So this was shrinking it down to, I think, 12 adults, right?
Yeah.
12 adults and 3 children. That's it.
Gosh, I can't believe it's over. Throw out the URL again for folks who
www.genesplayhouse.com.
Come on, folks. You got to go up there to Lincoln. Go see it. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. I am your ever-aging host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the monk-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. Joel Mercier from the North Country Center for the Arts has been my guest today. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM in Manchester, and the URL, which you can now go to, is nhtalkradio.com. We're done talking. We're out of here.